Okay, oh, there we go. Now it is recording. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. As you probably know, I love Google Classrooms. Oh, thanks. I like the short ones too. And I was hoping to just get you into this so it'll be really interactive. As you guys all know, I love Google Classroom. I'm a longtime Google Classroom user. I've written several books about Google Classroom. One of them, which has a sticky note on it, doing a student-centered approach to Google Classroom, but I also have two others, things that I'm really passionate about. And you probably also noticed that I like to code. So if you go to alicekeeler.com/reusegc or alicekeeler.com/firstslide, you can see some different things that I've coded in Google Apps Script. And of course, if you know anything about me, you know that no one loves data more than I do. The answer is always a spreadsheet. I love Google Sheets and data. So I stumbled across this product called Schoolytics, and right now it does Google Classroom data, but pretty soon they're looking to add on Canvas and some other LMSs. So my question is, what is your biggest Google Classroom pain point? So thanks for answering that if you did. The overall grade shown to students and parents does not reflect missing assignments. Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? The whole grade book and grades in Google Classroom drive me absolutely bananas. Let's set aside the fact that I am team standards based, right? The old school way of adding up points, I think, well, I know for a fact, right? It wasn't based on research or what's really inclusive to motivate students. It was something from literally the 1800s. So we'll just set that aside. If you do a traditional grade book, which most of us do, and most of us are kind of forced into it. I know my school uses Power School. I don't have a whole lot of control over how it does the grades in there. I mean, I can manipulate a little bit. But missing assignments in Google Classroom don't count. And if you put in a 0, it no longer shows up as missing. Like, what? So that is one of the things that I've actually coded when you go to alicekeeler.com/reusegc. No, not that one. It's a different one. Oh, you have to remember which one it is. I have one, I think it's classroom reports. Anyway, I have an add-on that I created that you get the export of the grades from Google Classroom, and it swaps out the blanks for being 0s and missing and swaps the missings. Yes, it counts them all in there because it is quite strange how it does that. Oh, the other pain point for Google Classroom, and let me go ahead and put again into the chat, fill out this link if you have a pain point of Google Classroom. Reposting links 50 million times in Google Meet. So we're using Schoology. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be, well, what I am showing you tonight is Schoolytics. Right now, Schoolytics does not work with Schoology, but, you know, stay tuned. The company is new, so this is where we're starting, is with Schoolytics. But it does give some Google Meet data, I believe, for the admins. But yes, doing the same link a bunch of times is certainly annoying. As you can tell, I've already put the link to this Google form into the chat here in Google Meet several times. So I hear you. That could be coded with a Chrome extension. Possibly, I don't have one of those, but I'm always saving up ideas. So if I don't have a solution for you tonight, maybe down the road, that's something that I could create or get one of my friends, Clay Codes at Clay Codes, Clay Smith, he coded Meet attendance. So who knows, I can suggest that to him. Maybe it's something he could help with. Forgetting to assign last minute additions or links, right? And forget all of the time. I wish I had a good solution for that. I do know, and this is, I'm positive this was released publicly. They're going to allow you to schedule for multiple classes. So right now, when you want to schedule an assignment and you've assigned to first, second, third period, you can't schedule it. It doesn't let you, but they are going to bring that in. Welcome, Norma. I'm pasting into the chat. What is your biggest Google Classroom pain point? And your answer will become one of my slides. Okay, so I love Google Classroom, and yet there's several things, specifically the grade book, that drives me absolutely bananas. And so when I found this Schoolytics, I'm like, this solves many of my problems. I was really, really excited about it. So what I'm going to have you do is join me at schoolytics.io. So probably the most challenging thing is spelling it correctly and remembering that it is .io and not .com or .org. So it's the word school and analytics smashed together. So schoolytics.io, I have put it in the chat for you. So if you just go to schoolytics.io, once you log in with your Google account, instantly you just see this really wonderful Google Classroom data. Now, as a teacher, teacher accounts are free, and they're going to be free. The company wants to always have free for teachers. There is an admin purchase option where they can see across the department or across schools. But we're just today going to look at the free teacher account. So as soon as you log in, you're going to see your work completion rates, the assignment average grade, our students logging in. Now, of course, for me, it's summer. Adjusting these date ranges at the top helps me to get a little bit more data because I don't really have a lot of students right now. You do notice that it does filter by date. So it starts off at 5/24. So if you want to know what's the work completion rate for the whole semester, you will want to adjust the date range. Leaving the second one blank is to the current date. So I usually leave that one blank. But if you do want a specific start and end time, then you can go ahead and fill those in. Okay, so if you would join me, if you'd go to schoolytics.io, and then you're going to be able to just, sign in with your Google account. And it's really that easy. That's one of the things that I just love about it. It goes so quick. So I code Google Apps Script and I code Google Classroom. Google Apps Script is great, but it's actually really slow. So when I want to get all of the data for all of my students, it can sometimes take me an hour to 2 hours to pull all of that data using code. And somehow Schoolytics has it for me like instantly. Now I do notice that when I add a new student to a class, they're not instantly in my Schoolytics data, and that's going to be because they do a nightly roster sync. So you kind of have to wait up to 24 hours for new students who joined your class to join in. But right when you log in, you should instantly see all of these charts and data right on your dashboard. And so I'm just going to give you a minute to try that out, and then let me know. I'm going to switch this from what's your biggest pain point. Okay, and I'm going to put the link back in the chat. What do you like about Schoolytics dashboard? You again are just going to the schoolytics.io. Maybe that link one more time in the chat. And you're going to click sign in the upper right hand corner, or sign up, and it's just click with your Google account and approve it. And boom, you should be able to very quickly and easily see all of your Google Classroom data. If you don't have a Google Classroom account, like I said, the company is looking to add on other products down the road. You'll see that there is a demo on the front page. Let me, if I log out, I don't want to log out. On the front page, there is an option to select demo data, and so you can see what it looks like even if you don't have Google Classroom. Okay, so I'm going to go, here's the link to the slides. And then for those who just joined, if you could please, if you just joined, please go to schoolytics.io. Remember, it ends in IO, but don't worry, you don't have to remember that. Once you've logged in the first time, it actually will send you weekly engagement emails. And they're so great. I just open up the email and it instantly tells me how my students are doing for the week. And of course, there's a link to get more information and to bring me back to really drill down and see which of my students are struggling. How are my students doing on these assignments? Are they doing the assignment? There's a lot of reasons students don't do the assignment, but it is one of the indicators whether or not they're engaged. So if they're not doing them, that can be a good indication that I need to think of how I can make it more contextually relevant. Yeah, as we all know, student engagement is hard, especially through the computer. So I'll take all the data that I can get to help me to know if I'm engaging them and if I need to make some adjustments. You didn't have any classes in 2021. So go ahead and just click on the demo so you can run it with the demo data. And I'll again show you what my dashboard looks like. So when I log in, I'm going to refresh. So when I log in, the first thing to really pay attention to is that date range right up at the top, because you want to remember that all the data that it's showing you is filtered. So it's just recently. So you're trying to see, like, am I getting better? So every time I log in, I'm not letting the original, like maybe a lot of my students weren't doing work. I've taken some of this data. I've borrowed some assignments. I've figured out some different things. I'm trying some new stuff. How's it working now? So I can compare how it was to how it's going now. So these are all for the date range. And so you can see mine is for 5/24 through current. And the other thing you'll see is right there is it says courses. And I love this because it actually shows all my classes, and at the same time, like, because I co-teach a bunch of classes, and so it gives me all this data for students I don't even have. So a new feature that recently came out that is saving me is I can click on the 3 lines in the upper left-hand menu and go to courses. So if I click on the 3 lines in the upper left-hand menu and I choose courses, it's going to let me toggle which classes data that I'm seeing. Because you see, I have a lot of Google Classrooms in here. This is my demo account. So these are these 2 workshops that I'm doing currently, and I only want the data for those classes. Now I could, like, I only want for one class, I could toggle it and only show one, but I don't need to do that. I'm going to view the dashboard, because up at the top, the default is all the classes that I've selected, but if you want, you can toggle that so it's only showing one class. Now this class, yeah, I should have some more. I don't think I've done grading this week, so it's not showing that, right? But you can see that the charts change as I select my different courses. So definitely the first thing I would notice, what's the date range? Is this the date range that I want for my data? And what courses do you want to show? And it's just I give everything credit, no credit. So it always says my grade average is 100%. But you can see I'm behind on grading. I only have 20% of them marked. So I have some work to do for this date range. You can see when people are signing in. And again, this is my adults, and I have a lot of fake students loaded up into this class. So my statistics are going to look worse than they really are, because I'm just trying to play with those. Now, under the students one, you'll see that in the upper right-hand corner, it has this 3 lines upside down pyramid that is filter. And so I'm going to select that filter because I don't want to show you other people's stuff. So here's my fake student, Krista Weller. So without filtering it, you would see all your students in all of the classes that you have selected. And I can see that Krista has turned in only one assignment, and she has 20% of her work completed. So just seeing that data on a student is really great when I want to get on a phone call with a parent, but I need more information than that. So you'll see that we have 3 icons for each student. You can drill down on the courses, you can drill down on the coursework, and you can view their student profile. So let's go ahead and coursework drill down. So one that looks like a clipboard. So if you'd scroll down and find the section that says students, choose one student that you'd like to look at a little more closely, and choose that middle icon with the clipboard. And as always, I invite you at any time to turn on your microphone and ask a question or put a question in the chat. I am here to answer questions, not necessarily just to talk at you. So you'll see again that I have the ability to change the date range. So it's giving me this summary of assignments, but these 5 assignments are only the ones since May 24th. If you want the full list, go ahead and adjust the date range. Which courses? Now, what I really love about this is I like to make a new Google Classroom every unit. It really makes it not only easier to more creatively organize my classwork page, but also it loads faster, because if you're trying to load all the assignments for the entire semester, it starts to load slower. And it's much easier to reuse assignments when I'm only looking at assignments for that particular unit. So next year when I'm in Unit 11, I'm going to reuse assignments from Unit 11, and I don't have to look at Units 1 through 10's assignments through the list and scroll through them. It's just from Unit 11, so it makes it a lot easier. So I love creating a new class every unit, but the problem with that is, of course, then my grades and my data are in the different Google Classrooms. So by using Schoolytics, that solves that problem for me. So I have Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8 was my second semester for geometry, and I select those 3 classes, and I get the data per student with all 3 classes combined. So it is huge for me. I also like to create a separate Google Classroom just for self-pacing. I feel like some of my class should be self-paced, but not all of it. So I put a separate Google Classroom for those self-paced elements. This way it still brings them all together for me. So you can see I have a work summary. I can tell if they've turned it in. You can filter if you want to on grade average, but you can also click on those column headers. So if you want to sort by assignment type, or sort by due date, or sort by assignment status, just go ahead and click on those column headers. Now you can get somewhat similar information out of Google Classroom by clicking on the People tab in Google Classroom, and I find my student, and it takes me to the individual student view, and I can tell some of this information like this. So this isn't my most valuable piece. You'll see that there is an X in the upper right-hand corner, so you can close out of that, come back to the dashboard. You can always get back to the dashboard in the upper left-hand corner, so you see the left side panel, the first option says dashboard. So wherever you're at, if you want to get back to all of these lovely reports, go ahead and click on dashboard on the left-hand side. And for those of you who have just joined, we are in Schoolytics.io. And if you'll just go there, click sign up and log in with your Google account, you're instantly in here, free, gives you all of this great information to help you know what's working, who do you need to target. But for me, the most important thing that I love is when I come back down to this students menu is view student profile. This looks similar to the icon that's on the Google Classroom tile, except this time, instead of opening up individual student view, what this is going to open up is a summary with charts about that student. And the most important thing, missing assignments report and a progress report. Now this product is fairly new, Schoolytics, so expect to see a lot of new features coming into this. And so we are really looking for your feedback. And what are your pain points? How could we make this easier for you so you can spend more time teaching, as Google Classroom says, more time teaching and less time teching. And so one of the important things to help me to spend more time teaching and less time teching is having a progress report and knowing how students are doing. So when I click on that progress report option, look how awesome this is. I can do it to a Google Doc. Now this is doubly exciting for a couple of reasons. First of all, I love Google Docs. It saves to my Google Drive. I don't know how many times you download something like, now where did that download? I can't find the file. So I can just go right to recent in my Google Drive and find it right there. So, but because it's a Google Doc, you can edit it, right? You could put a personal note on it. You can highlight, you can delete some things out. So I'm going to go ahead and create Google Doc. And again, this is for the date range. So please always be aware of that when you're using Schoolytics, that you want to make sure you're checking what those date ranges are, because so you don't get a 20-page Google Doc of all the assignments, but rather you're getting the assignments just for that date period. I know, Madeline, right? Like it sells itself. It's honestly, you just look and you're like, what? There's all my stuff. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to give them all my information. I mean, I logged in with Google, so it gives them my login there, but it doesn't tell me them I don't have to fill out a big form, right? Okay, so I'm going to view the report. It's going to open up the Google Doc. Right? And so I've got charts right in my progress report. I have the assignment summary. And again, that is just for that particular date range. Now, this is super new. I am thrilled with the way it looks. I pretty much love it. I personally have a couple of suggestions of things that I would like to see. And I know that Schoolytics would be really happy to hear your feedback on how the progress report could be more useful to you. Number one, I just need a batch. I don't want to do it one at a time. I want all of them. So let's just assume that's going to come at some point, right? It's so obvious. Like, just give me all my progress reports. It did save it into a Schoolytics folder in your Google Drive. So it's going to be real easy to locate. So as you're emailing a parent, you can just click the Google Drive icon right in the email and find that progress report that you had created. And now you and the parent can be on the same page as to what's been going on and what is upcoming. And again, notice the date range. And it is a Google Doc. And as I promised, you could put the whole thing in Comic Sans. I know, now I'm just being funny. Comic Sans and 40. Point being, it's customizable. So I think that's really nice, because if it's not exactly the way that you want it, or it has some information, you're like, oh, that's old, you can just go ahead and delete it. Now, of course, going back to Schoolytics, I do have the option to export it as a PDF, which is great for a lot of reasons. If parents don't have Google Docs or they're not logged in, this just gives them immediate access to be able to print it out as a PDF. But of course, then you lose the customizing options. Any questions that I can answer? Nora feels like she might. That's okay. It is free for teachers. I want to remind you of that. If you are a tech coach or a department chair, counselor, the principal, you very likely want to see all this great data for the math department, or which students are who is struggling. First of all, who's struggling? You can get all that Google Classroom data to know who's struggling, and you are able to create student groups. So if you click on the upper left-hand corner on the 3 lines menu, you see that this is a new feature, is student groups. So it's going to be a great way to keep track of a group of students who maybe you have some concerns with and want to keep following up on. There's so much more that Schoolytics has. I'm running out of time, so let me just point out a couple more things. If you go to notifications, you can set which reports you want emailed to you each week and how often, right? What time do you want it? How many days? So I have it once a week. You could get it every day. Just bop that down to a window of 1 instead of a window of 7. And what day of the week do you want it? When do you want to know how your students are doing? So that's a great way to just get that information. Like, wait, what was that website again? Now that you've logged in with your Google account, it's going to send you those updates. So please make sure that you whitelist it. I look forward to that email each week, because it's really given me such great data, and it reminds me, like, hey, why don't you come back to Schoolytics, get some progress reports, see how kids are doing. I'm going to come back and click on the 3 lines menu one more time. And this is beta. So on the 3 lines menu, you come down and it says instructional resources. And instructional resources is going to allow you to reuse assignments. But notice each assignment has data on it. So it helps you to know, like, is this worth reusing? So you can filter on the side, not only for the different classes that you have, but what kinds of attachments. Like, I had 9 assignments that used Moat. Maybe I want to reuse some of my Moat assignments. Moat's really cool. It allows you to add voice into your Google Classroom assignments. And right now, if you click on Public in the upper left-hand corner, it's going to show you Khan Academy assignments. Now remember, I said this is beta. So right now it's starting off here with, here's ways to just quickly push out Khan Academy. Like, I'm teaching algebra. Here's some algebra things that I can just push to Google Classroom with a video and some practice for students to do. Great when you have a sub, but they're looking to add other resources to help you to get some lesson plans quickly without having to go to TPT. And also on the map is to be able to share assignments with other teachers. I would definitely love to show you how I found Khan Academy. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So I'm using the 3 lines menu. Traveling back to the dashboard. Under the 3 lines menu, I'm under instructional resources. Instructional resources. And then it says public. The reason it doesn't say Khan Academy is because they're going to have other resources in there besides just Khan Academy. So if you'll notice here under domain, it says khanacademy.org, 19,648 possible assignments that you could use. And that number matches in public because right now that's all that there is, but expect that to change. I am trying to see if we can get illustrative math assignments in there because, you know, it's free, it's good quality math, and we could all use a little help. And so yes, tracking down those resources that you have access to that are free, but giving it to you all in one place so you don't have to travel out. So what features would you like to see added? What features would you like to see added to Schoolytics? I'll give you the link. There's the link to the Google form. So if you would have any feature requests, they are definitely open to hearing that. And a little disclosure, I mean, as soon as I open this up and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all of this awesome data and the progress reports, the missing assignments reports, I'm like, this is my jam. This is what I'm into. So I have asked them for a coding job. So I'm going to be looking to take some of the things that I've created and build that functionality into Schoolytics. And I know since you're here in this webinar that you are a fan of some of the things that I make. So hopefully someday some of those things will just be built in so you have one place to go without trying to remember which alicekeeler.com/first slide, reuse GC, class reports. I can't even remember them all. So I'm going to try and see if we can get it a little bit easier to access. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Right? It's pretty new, Maddie. That's why you didn't know it existed. I didn't know it existed either, but once I saw it, I'm like, this is for me. So now I am joining the Schoolytics team, and I'm very excited about it. The graphs are so easy to read. You really don't even need a whole lot of training other than you need to know that the date's filtered, how to find that little filter icon so you can set it up specifically, but as soon as you log in, you can pretty much get what does this do. So I think that's what's really exciting. Good technology shouldn't require training. Sure, yeah, some of the nuances and hacks, but you should be able to understand what it is and how to use it without having extensive training. So that is the goal, my friends. Yes. Exactly, Anne. Our next year is going to look different. And again, we want to hear all of your feedback. What kinds of things can I code for you and add into here to make your life easier? Now, my goal, one of my first things I want to do is to get the slide updating capabilities, you know, where you push out a slide to each student and then you want to add extra slides to their slides. That's one of my first goals to try to code into Schoolytics. Let's see if I'm able to be successful. It is a different coding language than I know. I code in Google Apps Script, so I'm gonna have to learn something new, but I enjoy a challenge. And as we know, when something is contextually relevant, it's a lot easier to learn. So I have a reason to learn it. I have an authentic audience once I get it. So I think that will really help motivate me to learn this and get it going. Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Anything I can show you? Okay, well, I'm trying to order some stickers, so hopefully we'll have stickers for everybody at some point soon. And I really appreciate your time and thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me. Like I said, I've now joined the team part-time. I'm still gonna be teaching math next year, and I'm gonna be using Schoolytics for my math class so I can help service my students better. Thanks, you guys. It is exciting.